Hey, I'm Angie.
And I am Aislinn.
And we are back today. We're making Food Hero Crunchy Baked Kale Chips.
And a food hero is fun. Yeah.
All right, Ace. Hand washing time. Let's go. Okay, our hands are clean and dry. We washed for 20 seconds in warm, soapy water, and we are ready to cook. Oh, well, let's start with your joke then.
What do you call a movie about leafy greens?
I don't know.
A fairy kale.
You're kaling me.
And there's more jokes on www.foodhero.org.
Which is where we got the crunchy baked kale chips recipe. And I am super excited because I was able to purchase the kale this morning from my farmer friend Ruth. So local kale is ready to go. Farmers markets are ready to open. And I am super excited about all the fresh vegetables that we are getting right now. Now, to start on crunchy baked kale chips, you might wonder, why do I have a towel out? Well, the first step on the kale chips is to wash them really well and dry them really well. So my tip for doing this is just grab a clean towel, get a large one, and after you've washed them, just throw them on the towel, make sure they're nice and dry. So you want to dry them, so go ahead. That is key to making kale chips. You want to make sure that your kale is nice and dry. The nice thing about kale is it's a very hardy green, so you don't have to be as gentle with it. Okay. And once you've done that, you're ready to go. Now, kale chips are, to me, they're one of the funnest recipes. Aislinn loves them, and I love them because I have won over many, many people in my cooking workshops with kale chips. Many, many who have told me they will never eat kale have had their minds changed. I have had parents be amazed about how much kale their kids will eat when prepared as crunchy baked kale chips. Plus, this is a perfect recipe to make with kids, and I'll show you why. So Aislinn here is going to help me. Our kale is nice and dry, so we can probably go ahead and we'll take it. We'll get rid of our towel. Okay.
Kale's yummy.
It is yummy, and it is so good for you. Kale contains folate. It contains vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K. This does your body good. So what's nice about this recipe is for kids. Here's what I usually do when I'm working with kids. You can use a child safety knife, but it's really not necessary. As an adult, what I do is I take the rib out for kids. Now, I actually will chop this up and throw it in there because I don't mind eating it myself. Sometimes kids don't. But for this recipe, kids can just take their fingers and tear the kale into bite-sized pieces. So that's about the size you want. So that's what I'm going to have Aislinn work on. She's just going to start working on tearing up the kale into bite-sized pieces. We're going to throw it right on a sheet pan. Now, as usual, I like to use parchment paper for easy cleanup, but you don't have to use parchment paper. You can just use a sheet pan. Either one works just fine. So that's what she's going to do. She's going to tear that up. I'm going to let her tear there. I'm going to chop some over here with my handy chef knife, my favorite knife. Now, if you choose not to use the ribs, give them to your chickens or something else. I hate wasting food, so find another use for them. But actually, they're quite tasty when you roast them with the kale as well. Now, you want to make sure your oven is preheated to 350 degrees. That's the temperature at which we are going to bake these. And this is a super simple recipe. It doesn't have many ingredients at all. Make sure your pieces are all about the same size so that they cook evenly. But as you can see, for kids, it's a ton of fun just to tear the kale chips up. It's super easy.
It's hard to get enough where healthy food is fun. Give them all.
Kale is ready to go. We got about 8 cups here of kale into bite-sized pieces. And now we're going to add a tablespoon of oil. And so you can use, the recipe says olive oil or canola oil. You can use avocado oil. Any of those oils would be fine.
So
Aislinn's going to grab, 1 tablespoon of canola oil. She's going to drizzle that over. Drizzle it over. All areas. Now we need a ½ teaspoon of salt. Sprinkle that over the top. And you can use any kind of salt. Aislinn likes the pink Himalayan, but table salt is fine. Any salt will work. Okay, here's the fun part, Aislinn. Guess what we get to do? We got nice clean hands. actually. So we're just gonna toss that, make sure the oils and the salt are evenly distributed.
Good stuff, recipes that...
Okay, so this lovely kale is gonna go into a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes. I would set the timer for 10 and you can check on it. You want it to be crunchy and just starting to brown. That's how you're gonna know that it's done. Okay, and the good news is I have already prepared some kale. We had lots of kale and we eat lots of kale. Aison's favorite part, eating that crunch. Do you hear that crunch of that kale? This is lovely as a snack. I also like to put it on top of sandwiches. It adds a nice little crunch to a sandwich and a really good flavor. Again, a food that is just a powerhouse of nutrients and very easy to prepare. And please, if you have some available locally, if you're growing some in your garden, this is an excellent way to use up your kale. So, until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Food here is fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah.